Well, I'm going to be dead, so good luck, y'all. What's up, guys? It's Devin Harrington, the average Gen Xer, and welcome back to my channel. On this channel, I talk about things that interest me, and today we are talking about overpopulation. The overpopulation of our Mother Earth. Some people think overpopulation is a myth. Some people think that we're at a critical point, and I tend to agree with the latter. So let's look at the reality of the human population with a few facts right now. But real quick before we get to that, this is my foster Sparky, who I've had for a couple weeks now. And on this channel, I like to encourage anyone who is an animal lover to give fostering a try. Just contact your local animal shelter and they will be thrilled to have you because fosters save lives. Okay, so this graphic chart is from the website ourworldindata.org. And they are doing some great work over there, so I will link them below. But this is going all the way back to 10,000 BC. BCE is before the Common Era. And you probably knew that already. I had to look it up. It says here in 10,000 BC, the world population was around 4 million. How they know this, I'm not sure. But it is a nonprofit that specializes in collecting data about the world, so I will take their word for it. So here we are, living in caves, discovering fire, all that stuff. The average growth rate from 10,000 BC to 1700 was just 0.04% per year. In the year zero, the world population was around 190 million. That's like nothing. And then in the mid-14th century, the Black Death pandemic, that's the bubonic plague, I believe, killed between 1/4 and 1/2 of all the people in Europe. You will note here, global life expectancy before 1800 was less than 30 years. So before the 19th century, the average life expectancy was 30 years. That is so crazy sad. Okay, so here we go. By the time we have reached the 2000s, global life expectancy in 2023 is 73 years. So that's part of the population boom, is that we've gotten smarter, we've gotten improved healthcare and, machines to do everything for us and blah, 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 blah. So we have added 43 years to our average life expectancy. The population started to increase greatly in that time frame. So in 1800, the population was 990 million. And then it jumped in 100 years. It jumped to 1.6 billion in 1900. But then we had World War I, and so that kind of slowed things down. But we also discovered antibiotics in the 1920s, and so that helped a lot of people stay alive. And between 1928 and 1960 was World War II and the Depression, and so I'm sure that slowed things down in between then. Also, as the 20th century went on, many vaccines for childhood diseases that could be fatal to children were discovered. Things like polio and mumps, rubella, whooping cough, all those things, measles, that many children died of. We found ways to combat that. So vaccines helped increase the population by helping people survive. By 1960, which is not that long ago, we were up to 3 billion. And then it started to really pick up speed. 14 years later, in 1974, we reached 4 billion. And then only 13 years later, in 1987, 5 billion. But as the 20th century progressed, we hit 6 billion in 1999. And now it has continued. We are currently in 2023, we passed 8 billion. We are now at 8.25 billion or so, which is crazy because 2023 was 2 years ago, and now we have added 250 million more people. And so 2036 is when they are projecting that we will hit 9 billion. And then 2058 is when they project we reach 10 billion. And it says here the UN demographers expect the world population to peak at 10.4 billion in 2086 and to decline thereafter. Why would it decline? If the planet is able to handle any amount of population, according to some people, why would it start declining? Are we just going to be fruitful and multiply until every inch of land has someone standing on it? I mentioned overpopulation in a previous post, and someone commented that the entire population of the Earth right now, 8.2 billion, could fit in the state of Alaska. And that actually is true. But we would be standing shoulder to shoulder, and nobody wants to live like that. So that's not a realistic argument. And it's not about the space, it's about the resources. Much of the land on the earth is uninhabitable by man. Okay, so with that in mind, let's skip over to the Population Media Center, which is at populationmedia.org. They are another nonprofit doing excellent work. And this is from their column, The Latest. It's titled Why Overpopulation is a Serious Concern All Over the World by Cody Peluso. Okay, so I'm not going to read this whole thing. I will link it below if you would like to check out the entire article and that website. It's got a lot of great stuff on it. But this author writes, every human deserves clean water, clean air, and space to live. And I will add healthcare to that as well. Thank you. A fair amount of Earth's resources. These are basic human rights. There are no right or wrong people to inhabit our planet, but we must all work together to change our current population trajectory, which has us on track to hit nearly 11 billion people by 2100. Well, I'm going to be dead, so good luck, y'all. A capacity our world simply cannot handle while providing adequately for all inhabitants. Yes, exactly what I am saying. And so he goes on and gives us some facts. Every day there are approximately 382,000 births compared to 168,000 deaths in the world. And this accounts for a global net growth of over 200,000 people per day. That just sinks fear in my heart. This author goes on to say, according to the World Population Prospect, the global population is growing at its slowest rate since 1950. The global growth has fallen by 50%. Now, 1950 was just 5 years after the end of World War II. All those GIs were marching home to their free college and the GI Bill that helped them buy their own homes, and everything was great. And so that was the baby boom. So I would guess that was the peak as far as real explosion, at least in the US. And that has fallen by 50%. So a good thing to be sure, he says. Yes, but this lower growth rate of 1.1% is acting on an enormous total population of nearly 8 billion. Counterintuitively, this is resulting in even larger annual population growth than in 1967. Over 80 million additional people per year. This enormous total growth works out to an eye-popping number. 1.5 million more people added to the planet every week. Over 220,000 people per day. That is 9,000 people per hour, or 150 more people per minute. Almost 3 more people every second. The rights of women and girls are always front and center at Population Media Center. When women and girls are empowered, our Earth is empowered. And that actually has been as scientifically proven as science could prove it. That when you educate young girls, it causes better family planning, fewer child marriages, a more robust society. It's just nothing bad can happen from giving women and girls the right to education. When women and girls have access to education, we all make more educated choices. When women and girls are given the rights they so adamantly deserve, we can correct some of the wrongs we have inflicted on this earth. These people speak my language. I'm definitely a tree-hugging dirt worshiper. What do you want from me? Okay, and then just this last article, which is also by Cody Peluso on populationmedia.org, and it is about overconsumption and how the increase in population causes an increase in overconsumption, particularly in the West of a trillion. The United States alone produces a trillion pieces of food-related plastic waste every year, which is unsustainable. So Cody says overconsumption and overpopulation exacerbate one another's impact. Overconsumption is partly caused by the increasing population in many areas around the world. Larger populations require more food, water, and energy, and consequently tax the Earth's ability to replace used resources. Overpopulation depletes wildlife to dangerously low levels, and this is because of all the millions of acres of rainforest that have been leveled to produce land, to raise cattle and other livestock, to be slaughtered to make fast food. And I will die on this hill. Fast food and soda and everything that goes along with it is the absolute worst invention ever. The fact that it is marketed to children and that it is, it's not cheap anymore, but it is made to be addictive. And we are destroying the planet to make more of this shit just so lazy people can take their fat ass to the drive-thru. And that is a very short story of a very complex topic, which will be another video sometime. And I'm sure maybe 211 people worldwide will watch it, but at least I'm here screaming into the wind. Cody goes on. Overfishing has ruined many formerly fertile fishing grounds. Increased use of agriculture displaced many wild animal species, sometimes resulting in their extinction. According to National Geographic, by 1989, when about 90 million metric tons of fish were taken from the ocean, the industry had hit its high point, and yields have declined or stagnated ever since. Imagine that. We have almost fished all the fish out of the ocean. Unbelievable. And then just this last bit, he goes on to say, larger populations demand more resources of all kinds, and this includes the use of fossil fuels. Because fossil fuel technology is older and well established, it tends to be cheaper than alternative sources. Some nations cannot afford the cost associated with cleaner, renewable energy sources. Increased use of fossil fuels results in more carbon emissions and more environmental damage. This, combined with the inevitable process of deforestation that occurs in overpopulated areas, multiplies the effect of fossil fuel use, does additional harm to the environment, and prevents natural renewal of resources. In other words, it is killing the fucking planet. Overconsumption cannot be separated from overpopulation. If the world's population became more sustainable or our practices more environmentally friendly, there could be enough resources available for all humans to thrive. Let me say that again. Overconsumption cannot be separated from overpopulation. If the world's population became more sustainable or our practices more environmentally friendly, there could be enough resources available for all humans to thrive. Of course, human nature is full of greed, though, so that is a high ideal that we should strive for, but I would not hold my breath. Finally, but with an already burgeoning population that will continue to grow for decades, not if the child-free movement has anything to say about it, the need to conserve resources is so great that even a small degree of overconsumption becomes a major problem. Looking at you, Alexandra Rodriguez. Reducing consumption across the world can help in the short term, but the long-term problem remains the rate of population growth. Let's work on addressing these issues together because no single problem is solvable if we go at them alone. And one last thing I wanted to mention regarding overpopulation. I really think that the rise of the Abrahamic religions contributed greatly to overpopulation, particularly in this, past few hundred years. Abrahamic religions are Judaism, Christianity, and Islam in that order. And they all encourage many children, couples have large families, and that's not working today. People can't afford to live anywhere. What are you doing having 7, 8, 9, 10 kids? So that's my brief take on overpopulation. If you disagree with me, I would love to hear what you think, and how you think the earth is going to be able to provide if we have many, many more billions of people. If there's a limit, you know? If you like this video, please like it, and thank you so much for coming to hang out with me. If you made it to the end, of course, you are a trooper, and I will see you guys in the next video. Thank you so much.